Hey everyone, so in this video I would like to show you how to implement a macOS like command K search interface using React. So this is going to be one of my first videos in this YouTube channel. Let's see how it goes. So let me explain what we have right now. So this is a simple React application, and if I show you here, we have a simple Vite config. I'm using Vite instead of Webpack. And if I straight go to the HTML, you can see it's quite simple, just a regular plain HTML file here with basically a div with ID app to which we will mount our React application. And for that, let's go to main.tsx. I'm using TypeScript as well in this project. So here we have a CSS file. We have the app component, React, and React DOM client here. So as you can see, we create a React root to the div that is containing the ID app, and we run it in strict mode. This is all part of the boilerplate code. We don't have anything new here, right? So, and we have an empty CSS file, plus we have app.tsx that just contains a simple application with an h1, and that is pretty much it. To start the application, I'll do npm run silent dash dev. So that will basically start the dev server with Vite, and I'll control click on the URL. It opened on the wrong monitor. Let's put it here. And so this is how it looks, by default. There is not really much going on here. It's just simple HTML. Let me zoom out. And the first thing that we should be doing is having, Tailwind CSS, because that is something that I'll be using throughout the videos that I'll be making going forward in this channel, because Tailwind CSS is something that I really love myself, and that, that makes development, especially styling, much faster than if we would write regular CSS. With that being said, let me get started with adding Tailwind CSS to the entire thing. So I will copy this, stop the dev server, and run a couple of commands. So the first command that I will run is npm id, and the first package that I'll install is Tailwind CSS, of course, and then we would also want post CSS. This is like the CSS preprocessor that Tailwind would require, and then we would also have auto prefixer. Now all of this is in the documentation in the getting started guide for Tailwind CSS. I'll put the link in the description. You can very easily follow that up. They have one of the best documentations I've seen. So let's hit enter and let's wait for it to complete. All right, now that we have installed the required packages to get Tailwind CSS up and running, let's create a Tailwind CSS and post CSS config file. For that, again, I will run the following command, Tailwind CSS init p, and actually we would require npx because I don't have Tailwind CSS as a global global dependency. Let's do that, and it should create two files. As you can see, it does create a config file and a post CSS config file, right? So let's go look at the two files that got created. So this is the first file. We don't really have to do much here. And then this is the Tailwind CSS configuration file. We'll be editing this. The first step that I will do is I will set the content property. So the content property tells Tailwind where to look for to grab CSS classes, as they'll be generated as we type our HTML or JSX or TSX or whatever we are doing. So I'm telling it to look in index HTML, which is this one, and I'm also telling it to look for all JavaScript, TypeScript, JSX, and TSX files within the src folder. So that looks good for this project. So with that, being set, let's go to app tsx, and here I will add a class name, and if I do control space, you should see that Tailwind is the Tailwind IntelliSense extension should be helping me get intelligent suggestions. There you go, this is the one. Now with that being said, let's start. So here I'm going to put text, maybe for Excel, just to see if it is working or not. And let me remove the sidebar, open up my terminal, and I will run the dev server again. Let's see. So if I give it a refresh, nothing much really is happening, and I am sure I forgot a step, and that is I didn't tell Tailwind CSS to generate the default the base styles, is how I'd put it. So let's copy paste this from the documentation and hit save, and now that should fix, as you can see, the styles of the document changed a little bit, and that's how it is. And I think we're good to go with Tailwind CSS. So let's move on to the actual thing. As I said, today we'll be building a command palette. So you see the macOS, control K or command K kind of interface. That's what we'll build using React. And let's get started. And as it goes, grab a coffee, grab a drink, sit back, relax, because this is going to be a long tutorial. I'll do my best to walk you through. But like I said, this is an impromptu kind of video that I'm doing just to practice, as well as give an opportunity for others to learn. So let's see how it goes. And the first thing that I would like to do is stop this dev server and install the KBar component as a dependency. Now if I bring the repository here, you can see KBar provides a drop down menu, something similar to this. We would make it a little bit different than this, but this is what you have. And you can go to kbar.vercel.app, and that's where you would find an example implementation, where if I hit Control K, you can see it comes, and I can search, like for example Twitter, hit enter, and that will open up Twitter in a new window. We'll implement something which is very similar to what we have here, right? And this is the repository, again, something that I'll link up in the description. Go check it out. And it's also there in npm as KBar. Putting that aside, let's did I install? Wait, yeah, I did. Perfect. So let's restart our dev server. And here, first thing that I would like to do is make a folder called components. And in this components, I will put the KBar component, and I would also like to make a folder called utils, where additionally, utility functions, utility files will be kept. So the KBar component exports a provider. So let me import that here. So I would do, KBar, and here I would do KBar provider. This is what we need. And instead of returning an empty fragment, I would like to do it this way. So it would return a KBar provider like that, and like that. Now to the KBar component, you can dynamically add items to the component, or to the command palette, or you can predefine them, and they would go with the bundle when you ship your React application, and they are instantly available, right? So for now, for the sake of simplicity and time, I would do it the default way, where I'll predefine all the actions. Later, you can dynamically add them as well. So for that, I will go into utils, create a new file called actions.tsx. It's a utility file because it's not really a component, and that's the reason why I made a separate file. It's up to you in the end on how you organize this. So here I would want to import from KBar a type called action. Now this is specific to TypeScript, and here I'll make an export const, an exported variable called actions, right? And it's not an object, I'm sorry, it's an array, and it's an array of actions. So it's basically a list of all the actions that are possible. Now an action contains the following properties. It would contain an ID, let's call it home, and the text to be displayed would also be a capital home. And then you would have like a section, I'll call it navigation here. And then you would have like how can I do it, yeah, I think you would have this, that is pretty much it. You would have a perform function. This is what will happen when they choose to click on that particular item or they press enter, right? In that case, I would want to set window.location.href to be slash. That way, actually this should be single quotes. Yeah, that way when they click home, it'll go back to the root of the website. Now, if you have React router, or you are using it in Next.js, you're using Next router, here you would do router.push or something similar, and not really window.location.href. Now, one more thing that I'd like to provide here is the icon, and for that I would like to go with hero icons. They are free, they are tailored for Tailwind CSS. They also have an easy JSX variant to them, so I'm going with them. It's up to you on which icons you choose. So this here would be for home, right? So let's find a home icon, and I like that one. I will click on strict JSX, and you can see it changes slightly, and I'll click copy, go back to the code, paste that in, and that's pretty much what we want. So I'll do the same thing quickly for other items as well. All right, beautiful. So now that we have a couple of items that are preloaded into our command palette, I think we're pretty much done with this actions.tsx file. We'll come back to it when we would want to style it. So for now, let's close that up, and I will start creating the so the next thing that we need to do is link the actions that we have just created in this file with the KBar provider. So for that, I will import from utils. I would import actions, and I would import actions like that, and provide actions prop the actions value. That is exactly what we need. And then now let's create the KBar components itself. So I'll call it KBar.tsx, and this is where we would run our entire component. So for this, first thing that I will do is import React. I'll be referring to my documentation on the side if in case I would require that. And we would also want a couple of things from KBar, which we'll import as we see fit. For now, let's make a simple React component, and for that, let me make export const KBar arrow function that returns this should be returning a KBar portal. So let's do KBar portal, and that's an automatic import. Beautiful. And then we would need KBar positioner here. This is what is responsible of the placement of the command palette on your screen. And then we would want some sort of an animation to pop in, so we would do KBar animator. But yeah, there you go, that's what we need. And within this animator, we would have a couple of divs, and that is where we would have the KBar search. This is the actual input field where you would search, where you would put your keywords to search for menu items, right? With that simple markup, I will save this. Maybe let's sort these imports here, and let's go back to our app.tsx. Here let's import the component that we have just created, and this is what I will do, KBar, and at the end, or at the beginning, wherever you would like, I'll put it at the end for this tutorial. So here I will do KBar with a capital B, of course, and close it. So that's pretty much what we would want. Now with just this particular markup, the KBar component should be working in some in some fashion. So let's go try that. So in my page, if I just give it a refresh and do Control K, you will see a text box appear. So this is what we have for now, and pressing Control K or Command K is automatically handled by this component, right? So let's move forward enough, and from now on we'll be basically switching between both of these to see what we are working with. And yeah, the first thing that I'd like to do here is, when the bar actually shows up, I would like to dim the background a little bit, right? And also one more thing that we can quickly do is remove this h1. We don't really need that. So I'll open the command palette again, and we want the background to dim when the command palette is opened. For that, I'll go to KBar, and here in KBar positioner, I would add a class name. This would say BG black, and I want this to be 50% bright, and 50% opaque. And then you would want some sort of blur to appear that would be like cool. So I would do black top blur SM, and so if I do Control K, you can see it sort of animates in with a very subtle effect, and it also makes the background go a little dark. If I would have had content in the background here, it would have blurred, but since my page is white, it's not really taking effect. That is pretty much what we would need with KBar positioner. Right now, let's handle KBar animation or the animator. So I'll put a class name there, and here let's do BG white, and let's do rounded maybe XL, and here I would do let's see what we can do. Let's do shadow XL, that would also look good, and let's do flex and flex call, and let's also do space X 4, right? Let's see how that looks like. Okay, there is a shadow, I can see that. Now the bar is a little too small for me, so I would do like a width of 35 rem specifically. Oh, this has to be a rem, and as you can see now it's much better. And the next thing that I will do is say overflow hidden, so that if anything tries to spill over, it is basically hidden carefully. Yeah, that looks much better to me. Now one thing that I'd like to do immediately before moving forward is bring up a nice font to the website, because typography is something that changes a look and feel of a website a lot. So let's do that. I'll put a comment that says Google Fonts, because that's what I'll be bringing in. Let's hide the sidebar, and let's open up the window. Here let's go to fonts.google.com, and I think I have the font selected already. We would not want this one here. Can I remove that? Okay, do we have something here? Okay, yeah, we do have one font still remaining with us. So let's copy whatever we have, go back to VS Code and paste that in. Now here, one thing that I'm really that really bugs me is this rel is here where it has to be here. Let's save, and I think we have got our fonts. Now we need to tell Tailwind CSS to actually use that particular font. So let's go to Tailwind config, and here before extend, I would like to do font family, And this is an object where I'd have to specify the default font for Tailwind CSS is sans, and the name of the font that we want is plus Jakarta sans plus Jakarta sans, and we would also want the defaults that Tailwind would provide. So here I will import const default theme is require Tailwind CSS default, not config default theme. And I would want the particular font name, and along with that I want everything within the following array, and the array is default theme dot font family dot sans. So the default base font is the fallback value, and the custom font that we have is going to be the custom value. With that being said, we are pretty much done with the custom font that we wanted. So I think we are good to go. We can close this up. And if I do Control K, yes, I see the font is applied. Let's continue styling our, KBar component. And let me hide my sidebar, turn on line wrap. And this is what we have, for now. Here in KBar animator, what I'd like to do is that, I would like to create a div which acts like, the search container. Let's call it that for now. And this is going to be flex and px2, sort of have like a healthy padding, text LG, maybe text XL, that looks good to me. And font medium, let's see what we can do. Then the text color, I want text slate, maybe 600 or 500, let's see. And that's pretty much it. And here I would want like an icon, like a search icon kind of thing, and then the search input field, and this is where it would have KBar, I think it was KBar search. Wait, let me have a look. Yeah, that is what we want. So if I go back, Control K, you can see that the font size has become a little bit better. Okay, now I want a search icon, like I said, in the side of it. So let's go back to hero icons. And I know that the name of the icon that we are looking for is mag, or starts with mag. So I'll have that. I'll click copy, go back, and sort of paste the search icon here. And we also want some styling here. Now I want this to be width 5, and I want this to be a square. So I'll do the aspect square. Oops. Yeah, aspect square, and you can see there's a search icon there. Now I want this to be thick, so I'll do like 3 for stroke width. What else can we do? So I'd like to put some nice margin. So let's do maybe ML3 here, so that it's it's not really touching the edges of the bar at all. And then let's start styling the search input field itself. For this, I'll do width full, because we want everything, the remaining space, to be taken up by the input field. And let's do outline none, because we don't want that ugly outline. And we would want maybe, what else can we add here? Let's add PL4, so there is some space between the icon and the text. Yep, that looks healthy to me. And then you have PR6 and PY4, that should look good. And then okay, yeah, that looks much better than what I can see. Let's increase the icon size a bit, maybe. That should do the job. And maybe like decrease its color a bit. Let's do what? Text. Oops. Text slate. This was 600. Let's do 400. That looks good to me. Maybe 500 would be more visible. Yeah, that does look good to me. So if I do search something. Yep, that does look good. The blue color is what I don't like, so let's customize that now. And for that, here I will do selection, text, not text actually, bg sky. Let's do maybe 300 and see if that works. That's too blue. 200, yeah, that does look good to me, right? And maybe we can do selection text black. Yes, color could be maybe a little bit lighter, more lighter. Yeah, that does look good to me, right? So if I press Ctrl K now, this is what we have. This is how it looks as of now, right? And that, I think, is pretty much what we need for the search bar. Let's start working with the results, and to bring in the results, let's actually use a hook from KBar, and the hook is called use matches. So let's do, let's put a comment called hooks, and const. I would like to destructure it. So use matches from KBar, again, auto imports. Here I would do results, and that's what we need, right? Next thing that I will do is, sort of make another div here. And let's do a div. This should be flex and flex call, because I want stuff one below each other, not beside each other, right? And here let's do showing search results, actually just search results. And we would want to have some conditional rendering applied here. So I would do results and so that means results should be there, and results dot length is not 0. That means at least one element should be there in the results array, because I know that results is an array, it's a string or an action array. So that's what we have. And for this, I would like to, make a div. So div, yes, exactly, that's what we need. And maybe scroll the page a bit. Here let's add some classes, and for this I would like to do border t maybe 2, I don't know, and maybe border slate 100, like a teeny tiny border. We will not be seeing it immediately right now, but I'm sure we'll see it once we have the entire thing finished up. And after we have 100 seems a bit too dull to me, but we'll change it in a second. After that, let's do pb3, maybe add some padding bottom, maybe add some padding top. Here, do we see that? Yeah, now we can see the small underline that we have. It's very subtle, but that is what makes it much better. All right, I'm zooming into the page so that we can see the nuances of the design. Let's move forward with that being here. Let's now render the results, and for that we have again a component from KBar, and that would be KBar results, exactly. And this is going to take in the data, the items, that is our results. And this provides us with a function, with a prop actually called on render. And this prop takes in a function like that, and it takes, let's actually destructure the destructure the props here. Let's do active and item. So item is each individual search result, or each individual menu item. And then active is whether it is hovered over, whether my mouse is on it, or whether the keyboard navigation has the active state set to it or not. And this should not return void. This should return a HTML markup, or this should return JSX. I'm a little tired, so it may feel like I'm going out of breath, or I'm a little nervous, but actually I'm tired. So let's continue, and I would want to finish this up in this Sunday. Here we want a ternary operator is what we'd call it. Let's do type of item. If the item is a string, right? And then I would want to render it differently, and this is going to be a div, right? And if it is not a string, it's actually an object, then I want to render it out differently, right? So this is going to be the section header, and this is going to be each single item. Let's put some comments basically to help us out, right? And beautiful. Now let's fix the alignment here. Perfect, that looks good to me. So when it's a section, let me look at the styles, and cool. So when it's a section, we want something. So in the content, we just want the item because it's a string. And for the classes, we would want text sm, we would want uppercase, and maybe we can have like px8 and pt3, pb1, and text slate 500 should look good, but let's look at it. And then I want font black, which is like the the thickest font you can get. So if I go back, give it a refresh and hit, you can see that is how the section header looks like. That is a string. And maybe we can add some letter spacing. So I would do like leading, let's do what, leading loose is how much, 2, and leading 10 is 2.5. So let's do 2. That is not, oh wait a second, leading is line height. Okay, give me a second, I'll go look up in the Tailwind docs what is letter spacing. Okay, so letter spacing is tracking. So let's do maybe tracking wide. Does that look good? No. I mean, let's give it a refresh and see if that works. Nope, that does not look good to me. So tracking maybe wider should work for us. Oops, I think I have a dash in the beginning. Yeah, tracking wider looks good to me. Maybe increase it a step more. We have wide, wider, and widest. That looks okay. Wait, we again have a dash. Okay, that should make it work. Yeah, that does look good now. Beautiful. So for rendering each individual item, this is going to be not as simple as section header. So let me refer my docs again. Right, so this is going to be a div that contains both the item name and a subtitle possibly. So I'll put class name here as flex and flex call, and here I would make a div. This will be sort of acting like a container div, and in this div I would have it as flex and pl4. Let's give left padding 4, y-axis padding to be 3, and maybe rounded XL to be pretty round. And that is pretty much it for now for what we are looking for. Let's add stuff later. And here we would want to display the icon, and right beneath the icon we want name and subtitle. We will not be using subtitle for now, so we can just say name, I guess, right? And this is where the name will be in a div, of course, that will have a class name, and it's going to be again flex and flex call. And here in this div I'd put a span which would have sort of the text, but for now let's just not do that. Let's just have the span have item dot name here. So if I give it a refresh, you should see home, blog, projects, about me. Beautiful, right? Now we would want to add some hover states and some additional styling to it, the way it works. So let's do that right now. I'll keep this open, go back, let's add the icon icon thing. So for this, we would want to do a conditional render that says item.icon. If there is an icon, then we want to render out another div. And here I'll put some class name, and this is where I would do flex item center, maybe justify center. We want this to be exactly centered. Left margin to be 0 because I know there will be a margin that will appear. Right margin to be 3 so that we have enough spacing between the icon and the text. And that's pretty much what we need for the div, right? Here I would do item.icon. It's already a JSX because that's what we have set in the actions.tsx file. So I'll save that, go back, and you can see we do have the icons. They are just not being displayed at this point. So let's go ahead and go back to our actions tsx file, and here let's add some styles to the svgs that we have. So I'll put a cursor here, 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 and then carefully here. And here I will do oh wait, we have a problem here. Let me fix that. Perfect. So let me confirm that they are all in the right order. Go back to the bottom one, and here I would do class name, and I would do maybe w5. Again, we want this to be a square, and the color should be text slate, maybe 500. Save and give it a refresh. That looks good. Okay, we want the stroke width for all of these icons to be having 2 instead of 1. So I will select all of them, make them 2, and give it a refresh. That does not look bold enough, so let's make it 3. I mean, we have, oh wait, that is too much. So let's actually do 2 itself. 2, it's okay. I think 2 looks good here, except we are missing some padding here. Let me look why. I think we are missing a px4 here. Not in this file for sure. Yeah, px4 is what we exactly need. That didn't make any difference whatsoever. Yeah, my bad. This should be here. Yes, so that fixed it. And we have our items, here. The next thing we can do is, sort of have the cursor be a pointer, because this is not working out. And for that, we would only want to make the cursor into a pointer if that is the current item that is hovered in. So we will use the active variable here. And for that, I will take the content here, make it into a template string, and I will do active, and here I will do pointer events. Wait, that is not what we want. We want cursor pointer, and it's not action, it's active. Perfect. So if I hover on them, you can see the cursor becomes, a pointer, a hand-like cursor. And we would also want some sort of a background color here. So I will take this into a template string and do active and bg slate 100. Maybe it's not going to be action, active. Okay, yeah, now you can see there is some sort of hover going on around them. I think we need transition colors here so that they they transition in a smooth way. Let's give it a refresh so that everything is up to date. That does look good to me, right? And maybe the font can be a little bit higher, font medium. Does that do the job? Font semi bold. Yep, that looks good to me, except maybe we can have the color that we have for the icon. Let me open that up. had the color in text slate 500. Maybe let's add that here, here, text slate 500. That should make everything, sort of look in that particular color. Beautiful, right? Now I'm able to navigate with my keyboard. I think I need some, padding bottom here. So this, let's make it PB2. Give it a refresh, and yeah, that looks much more healthy to me. Maybe PB3 as well. I don't know. Yeah, that does look much better to me. Right now, I want the text to be black when I hover on top of it, or at least much more darker than the way it is right now. So I will cut this from here, and I'll turn this into a ternary operator, right? And otherwise, I want this particular thing to be applied. But if it is active, I want text slate maybe 700. And with that, I think we can go to actions tsx, take all text slate 500s, delete them from this file, right? So, and finally, if we give it a refresh, you can see this is how it works, right? And this gives like a cool effect. Now, this is a simple command palette example that I have prepared. You can, add dynamic items, like I said, and do much more with it. Now you can also search, like if I want my blog, I can type blog. If I want to, go to my home, I can type home, or maybe about, or maybe projects, or if I go back, it'll show all of the items. You can have your social media, you can have, you can add this to your blog so that it acts like a quick search thing for your blog, a search widget for your blog. There are so many possibilities. You can even hook this up to an API, and then it will become dynamic, so that it can take the query and do much more complex stuff. I'd really like to thank the developer of this project, because this library, I have been using it a couple of in a couple of my projects, and it has been fantastic, right? With that being said, that is pretty much it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video till here, if you are with me till now. And with that being said, yeah, it's almost 2 in the night now, so good night, I guess.